Tonight, Unpackers, we're diving into the heart of our city, the city of brotherly love, with a leader who's been at the forefront of change and progress.
That's right, Eric. Tonight, we are thrilled to have with us Pennsylvania House Representative for the 10th Legislative District, Ivan Brown. Representative Brown has been a tireless advocate for public safety, educational access, and community investment. His work has made a lasting impact on our city, and we're excited to unpack his journey and vision for Philadelphia's future. Philly, we're about to have an incredible conversation. Representative Brown, welcome to Unpacking.
Hey man, first and foremost, thank y'all for having me on. I'm honored to have this opportunity to have this, this real honest conversation about the pulse of the communities that are similar to the ones that I grew up in all around the city of Pennsylvania. City of Philadelphia and the state of Pennsylvania. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward
Absolutely.
to unpacking with you. Thank you for being here, brother.
Absolutely. I want to start in, one of the most pressing issues right now facing our city is public safety. You've championed significant initiatives around gun violence prevention. Can you share with us some of the programs or policies you've implemented and how they impact the 10th district?
Yeah. So, a lot of what's going on right now, or the crimes that are being committed are from young people, but that stems from fatherless homes, from fathers being snatched out of communities years ago. And now this is the result of that. So one of the initiatives that I'm spearheading is Black men getting more involved in after school programs, summer camps, and what have you. We just had an awesome winter break camp, and the message was clear, was that 10 to 14-year-old young person, they're crying out for help, right? Out of the 40 something children that showed up on a daily basis last week or this past week, 70% were ages 10 to 14. We had young men taken to me, and taken to the other men who were involved in this situation this past week. And it confirmed that we need Black men to stand up and be present in young people's lives. So that's the initiative that I'm going to be pushing, especially for this new term that I so gladly get sworn into on Tuesday, January 7th.
Representative Brown, you're absolutely right. We do need to see more Black men, and we love to see Black men like yourself who are already stepping up and out in the community, invested into the work. And we just love here on Unpacking to hear how you're championing and encouraging other Black men like yourself to join in because this is definitely a community effort. So, speaking of community investment, we know that you have secured a lot of funding for projects like affordable housing, economic development. I was just seeing online here that it was just in November, on November 4th, you were applauded and acknowledged for bringing in the $11 million Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program grant. Something that I think you did the same thing last year.
Yeah,
Can
that's
you
something to do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like you're not new to this. You're true to this investment and how you show up for the community. Can you unpack for us how these investments are? How do you see these investments transforming neighborhoods and improving the lives of the Philly community?
Yeah, man. There's no better feeling than riding around the district and seeing projects that we know that the state put our stamp behind to support affordable housing or veteran housing or what have you. And just to see, for one, union workers at work, and then seeing, someone's future home, getting people off the street, bettering the lives of these single mother households, man. I don't know if you know this about me, but I grew up in a single parent household, and it was 7 children in this house, right? And we went through winters with no heat and definitely summers with no air, right? And so we depended on going to school not to learn but to eat, right? So these investments that you see us that we announce, and they're ongoing, and there's many more to come. this all stems from me understanding what the need is in the communities that I grew up in and that I represent, which is every community that I represent now, I grew up in. Well, besides Logan Square, but I have families that live in or go to Overbrook. I graduated from Overbrook. I represented Hamilton. Families go to Hamilton. My families went to Sayre and go to Sayre. I went to Sayre, right? So I understand firsthand what it's like to be a hardcore, true Westphalian, and I understand what it's like to not have. So when I'm in these communities, in these streets, and when these young people, walking up to me, asking me questions, and for one, they're they're comfortable with coming up to me asking me these questions because I'm approachable, because you're not going to see me in a suit and tie every day, right? And when I first got elected, my colleagues used to say, "Oh man, you got to wear a suit." I'm like, man, like I'm from the streets, man. Suits was associated with the feds when I was a kid, right? And that's just fact. Jump out Tuesday, Thursday, that was a thing. So if we saw anybody in a suit, it was intimidating, right? So and other outside of Jump Out Tuesday, Thursday, my grandpa wore a suit, and I only saw him on Sundays. I'm seeing and I'm feeling that me dressing down, being who I am, is gravitating and bringing more people in, especially the young people. So these are the people that I'm fighting for. And when you see these announcements about these big grants, awards, or funding these projects, I had to put up probably a tough vote, or I probably had to take the back seat, let somebody else get the credit for something that I've done in Harrisburg, and the reward is one of my projects get funded. That's the game, right? But I fully understand that. I fully know that I didn't sign up to get all the credit for getting a bill done or making some major change. I signed up to help the person who need that fighter, and someone who's going to be that voice, who has that solid, true understanding of what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
Representative Brown, I definitely think you represent the people. And it reminds me sort of like Mayor Street back in the day, only in the sense that you just come across like a regular Philly guy. Like, WRD listeners, y'all didn't get to hear, but when we first started behind the scenes, I was like, it's the West Philly Bull. Because that's how you come across, like someone that people can relate to. And I think when you think about like your journey, starting as an entrepreneur and then becoming a state representative, there's a lot of inspiration behind that, because there's so many people who aspire to bigger. And so when they see someone who looks like them, sounds like them, and comes across in that same energy, they dress like them, it lets you know that there's a space for you at the table. And if there's not, make a new table. How do you think those lived experiences shape your approach? You talked about it a little bit to leadership and policy. I do hear some differences, but how do you think, you kind of being just relatable to the people, and you have had the experience of the average person, changes and makes you a different type of leader?
Man, so when I'm on the House floor, I stand there as probably the only person who's actually been shot. Right. And if you look at the past presidential campaigns, right, everything was about violence and gun violence, but neither one of them been shot. Right. So everyone's talking about the issue. When I actually got, I want to say, when I won my primary back in 2020, I took a trip to Harrisburg and I stood on the floor and I'm like, damn, man, they let me up in this joint. Right. And I'm like, wow, this is now my job. Right, you standing around looking at gold ceilings and gold plated everything, and I'm like, well, I'm about to get a key to this place, knowing where I come from, But to something that you touched on, those lived experiences put me in a position to tell the young person, you don't have to go through this. I went through it for you. Now this is what's available to you: access to good government, access to resources, access to a better education, access to whatever you need to thrive in life. Right. I took many hits. You mentioned me being an entrepreneur. I was a very successful entrepreneur. Folks might want to pull out the bad, but let's talk about the hundreds of people that I employed. Right. Let's talk about how I kept the business afloat for 8 to 10 years and kept my employees' lights on, right? And I took hits, so the folks that I can talk to now don't have to take them, right? So I'm in a unique position to remove landmines so our young people can grow and and be contributors to this beautiful place we call home.
Thank you, Representative Brown. It's the intentionality for me, how in touch you are with the community in a very personal way. And you truly are, when we say that like you're out here on the streets, you are. Even when I think it was last summer, the kids didn't have, they wanted to go swimming. Well, we know, I remember growing up, I loved swimming. Every summer, that's something that I love to do. I learned how to swim at a very young age against my father's very adamant. He didn't like me in the water at all. But I went, and I learned how to swim. And I remember when you had, something you had put together for the community, and
Yeah,
you
yep,
got the
yep,
kids
uh-huh,
out, swimwear, just so, and we
yep,
don't think about the little things like that, like, oh, just go to the pool and whatever. No, that's not how it works. Like, swimwear actually is safer for you. It helps you
uh-huh.
swim better, like all these things, right? And it's those little things that I respect, not little things, but it's just the how the small things can like show up in such big and impactful ways in the community.
Yeah, man,
And
those things get overlooked, man.
that's what I'm
It's
trying
like,
to say, right? Yeah,
yep,
these things get overlooked, right?
definitely
Um,
we had a crazy heat wave, and 99% of what I do
I should have been in
is.
line getting my swimwear. It was hot
Oh,
that
listen,
summer.
man. No, listen. So we gave out over 500 pieces. Um, but it was families and like we had moms and dads in line, right? Like I'll touch on the fathers first. The fathers were like, man, yo, bro, man, I appreciate this. Like, man, this has been a rough couple months for me, man. But now I can take my kid outside. This is a bonding time for us because he been wanting to swim and he know I'm a great swimmer, but we couldn't get in the joint, right? So me taking that away, right? That's one barrier. So now you have a father for the 2 days a week that he got his kid for the summer. He can now bond with his kid, take him somewhere and do something. And he admitted, he said, I'm in a financial effed up situation, right? But this right here ain't gonna cost me a dime. So as elected officials and leaders, we always want to brag about the good we've done, but then we don't peel back the onion and look at, well, who's actually gonna have access? Right. So, okay, we're funding public pools. And yes, that pool hasn't been open since prior to COVID. We worked together and got it open. But now we talking about kids can't get in. Right. So what's the point? That's like building a rec center and then, announcing we got funding to build a rec center, and then you don't have no staff for 2 years.
Right.
So the rec center ain't open. So 99% of what I do, it was because it either happened to me or I know what's really going on, right? So like the thing with when we do the box fan giveaways or air conditioner giveaways and the food pantry thing, I'm heavy on the food mainly because we didn't have it, right? You know, my life was filled with my mother telling myself and my brother, "Hey, go to Miss Taylor's house or go to so and so's house, borrow $5, get a date, go get Frank's orange soda, the 2 packs of chocolate chip cookies for 99 cents, the 99 cent bag of sour cream and onion, and a roll of tissue for the $5 every week," and
Yeah.
that was dinner, right? So my job right now is to make sure that folks in the communities that I represent have access to fresh produce and quality foods. And I'm gonna make sure you ain't paying for it because at some point in your life, you did something where you deserve this, and it's my job to make sure I'm bringing that to the hood.
Absolutely. And shout out to that. I know personally I've seen a lot more grocery stores and grocery options and grocery markets and stuff coming to Philly just over the past year. So just shout out to that. Before Kai jumps in, as you were just unpacking, the Philadelphia youth, the Philadelphia community, are at the heart of many of your initiatives when it comes to community and education. Do you have any upcoming initiatives that you're going to be advocating for that you could talk about? Or is there anything that you would like to see in the coming year in 2025?
But yeah, man, I would like to see more. Well, like I said in the beginning, I'm going to be focusing on figuring out ways we can get, these after school programs up and running. That out of school time is going to be key. Shout out to Parker for putting in place these 20 year round schools, which are giving our children an option to stay a little bit longer to do what they need to do, because we don't know what's going on at home. Once that kid leaves out our care at 3 o'clock, most of them are running the streets and trying to figure out something to do until it's time to go to sleep. They don't do their homework. They wake up the next morning. Well, they don't do their homework. They don't eat. They wake up the next morning and don't eat breakfast and go to school. And the teacher or the staff is giving them a hard way to go, not knowing that this kid just had to sleep in a room or sleep on a couch with 6 other children the night before. They didn't eat. It's freezing outside, right? I'm going to be focusing on more of, figuring out ways to bring more after school programs to the city of Philadelphia and to my district, and just financial literacy, gun violence prevention. But gun violence prevention is, up and up being present in these young people's lives. I mentioned that the winter camp we just had, the parents were they was like, oh, we didn't know you were going to be here. Yeah, I was there every day. Every day. I was the first one there and the last one to leave every single day, because the parents need to see that, no, the person that works for you, which is me, whether you voted for me or not, I'd work for you. And I say I'm going to do something, I do it. So we put this camp together and we kept them kids safe. Them kids now know, and parents were admitting, I didn't know there were 3 branches of government. I didn't know what a state representative was. I didn't know what a city council person was. I didn't know how a bill becomes law, right? I didn't know that our governor, Josh Shapiro, was from Montgomery County. So our children, like we focus on civics, financial literacy, and of course, just other academic enrichment. But just that 1 week gave me a snapshot of what the community is missing, and that's those after school, before and after care programs and summer camps.
I love the servant leadership and the way you are just really, really on the ground. And I just keep circling back to it comes from having that lived experience. Even just hearing some of the questions you answered with Eric, having, grown up in the same neighborhood as you and at some point going to the same school. I remember me and my homies, like when you could get into the swim place, they were swimming in their boxers because you didn't have those things. And so even when you provide things like that and you're just on the grounds, it's letting people know that one, someone cares about them. And then 2, you come and giving like swimwear, let them know like, I see you. Because I know that you don't have it. And those are things that it's just a big thing and things that I know would have made a difference. Just before we go to break, I want to switch gears, knowing that you're a member of the Mental Health Caucus at Philadelphia House Delegation. How do you think like those roles enhance your ability to advocate for issues like public safety, education, and ultimately mental health?
And when we get put on these committees, the advantage of being on these committees is, you're involved in conversations with a wide range of individuals from different walks of life. So you're able to give your input, and those are mainly like learning rooms or learning conversations where you can take things back and figure out how you can do more. The caucus, we come together and we figure out where the need is, where we need to fill the void, execute, whether it's legislation or it's grants or it's initiatives. So that's where that caucus comes from. But, the communities that I represent, mental health is a serious problem, right? And, especially amongst Black men, like we don't go get the treatment that we know deep down inside that we need. By myself, I experienced trying therapy a couple times because I know I needed it. I had a very rough life, and look, my life is still rough, right? It ain't all peachy cream as people might think it is. So I do therapy occasionally, but I found my happy place, and that's serving my community, which then in turn is my therapy, right? So it's like, my personal life might be in shambles, but when I go to work, all that stuff goes away, right? So, because it's that drive in me that wants to help, help somebody. So when I was an entrepreneur, I used to be worried about how much money we made this month. Now it's, all right, how many people have we served? How many lives have we changed? And how do we figure out ways so people are not put back in this position? Um, and to that other question you asked me a little bit earlier, I forgot to mention this. We're going to be focusing on the formerly incarcerated, like never before. There was a gentleman named Rice who just came home after serving 20 years, who he posted on social media, and it kind of went viral, saying that he was like, "Dang man, I was hearing about all this help I'm gonna get when I get out, and I ain't getting nothing yet, right?" But because of the kind of pages I follow, because I want to keep my ears to the streets, I saw it and I reached out to him, and within a week, he got his ID, his birth certificate, social security card, passport. He got a doctor's appointment, the whole nine, and we just landed him a job, all within 3 weeks. So we're going to step into that space and help those who are just coming home from being incarcerated. Because I work for them too.
You work for them, all them, they mamas, they sisters, they cousins over
Yeah,
here,
yeah, yeah.
West Philly right here, down to the poppy store over there. You are truly doing the work. And, we're going to have to unpack a little bit more, Kai. We have to get some self-care questions in here because Brother Brown doing it for everybody. We really, truly hope that you're also finding ways to give back to yourself because we need that. We need your vessel to be full so you have something to pour out, right? But this has just been a great conversation, and we're not done yet. We have a little bit more time with Brother Brown, but before you go, we're going to take a quick break. Unpackers, we're here with Pennsylvania House Representative for the 10th Legislative District, Amin Brown. You're listening to Unpacking on WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, Philly's Progressive Black Talk Radio. We'll be right back after this break.
How's it going? It's going all right.
It's going good. I'm gonna bring us right back in.
All right.
You good?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Okay. Unpackers, welcome back from the break. You're listening to Unpacking with Eric and Kai on Philly's WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, Philly's Progressive Black Talk Radio. And we are here with Pennsylvania House Representative for the 10th Legislative District, Amin Brown. Representative Brown, thank you for unpacking with us. And we're going to jump right back into the conversation. Let's talk about like just the balance of how let's get into the weeds of it a little bit. And I want to kind of unpack a little bit of what folks outside of politics are always thinking, what I'm thinking, right? And in some of the conversations that we see going on online, let's talk about like this balance where we have these grassroots efforts, we have people out in the community, we have folks that are truly in need, but then while we may not be truly aware of everything, there's a political structure, there's a political system here at play, and there's things like and you're working within that structure in order to serve the people. Unpack for us. Talk about balancing the needs of your constituencies, of the community, and how do you ensure that every voice in your district is heard and represented? How do you balance your decision making process? Because you have to stay in office in order to be able to serve the
Mhm.
community.
Yeah.
Like like talk to us about that political balance.
Yeah, man. So, and that's an awesome question, man, and I appreciate it. So, um, when I first ran, the streets were in the community were like, "Hey, listen, we need somebody young, We need somebody who's not connected to any political family. We need somebody who is going to give us a fresh start because of everything that was going on prior to me getting in. And that's a whole nother 40-minute show. But I have a very diverse district, and my last two elections, state house elections, they were brutal, right? But then after the elections, after we won both 2022 and 2024, we evaluated and we looked at the data, and the data showed that some individuals from certain communities who didn't vote for me for whatever reason, they've also never stepped foot into a government office or elected official's office, right? So like, for example, you might have some community down on Drexel campus who their median income might be well over six figures. They don't qualify for some of the things that our office offer, right? But then at the same time, they didn't vote for me, and it wasn't because they know who I am. It was because some political system or figure asked them not to, because maybe their values don't align with mine, right? And I got elected to represent the people who I know, who are inexperienced, who might not know what this government is here to do for you, or what this representative is here to do for you. Because in full transparency, I didn't know what a state rep was in 2019. I did not know, right? And you can Google it all day, and what you're going to find once you finally get elected or get close to one, you find out that the job is actually two positions. You have your job in Harrisburg, being a lawmaker, and voting on bills and issues and resolutions. But then you have your back at home and communities like I represent, where you have to be present and serve, right? Because is a continuous situation where you have to educate your constituency on what you actually do, right? My first year or two, I had constituents thinking that I was going to be working in City Hall. No, my office is in the state capital of Pennsylvania, which is Harrisburg. They're like, well, where you been? I'm like, I've been in Harrisburg 3 days a week. Well, why are you in Harrisburg? Because you elected me to serve you in Harrisburg. You elected me to be a lawmaker and a policy changer for you and your family and your loved ones. This current political climate is kind of out of control, but we've been doing pretty good at treading water and staying above water and being victorious every election. And that's by the power of the people. We've been outspent every election, but we always end up on top.
Absolutely. And what I'm curious about, you talked about like not knowing how certain things worked, before you got into it. I think so many people, like when I was younger in Philly, I was so anti-voting for local elections. And it was because I just didn't understand how it worked. Like no one had explained it. And so hearing you even talk about how proximity, you being, on the ground with these young people, is teaching them how things work. Like what connection do you think that has to how people would vote? And what would you say to people who right now are like, I don't vote. How does voting in local elections help me? Why does it matter who my representative is? Like what message would you have for them? Because no shade, I've been them.
Listen, man, I tell people, right, and like there's folks that still exist who think like that. But I will tell you, we had a couple parents after their child was there at our program for 2 days. They came back and was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go register to vote. Right. Because now my child is home talking about good government and talking about, just politics. And that conversation wouldn't have been sparked if their child didn't come to our winter break camp. Right. And shout out to Mantua Cares Association, who actually put it all together and partnered with us to make this thing happen. And also Caring for Friends, who supplied all the food for the week. But you know, it's refreshing to know that folks are paying attention. And that's why we go so hard on social media now, because that's the new Inquirer. That's the new Daily News, right? And part of our strategy is to create a new generation of voters, because you got folks who are not from here, who move here and get elected by taking advantage of communities with low voter turnout, and then they they get elected, and then they force their policy positions on communities like mine. When it's like, well, hold on now, that ain't something that's going to help or impact or change my life. Why are you doing this? Right? So you got some far left socialist folks who come into the city and take full advantage of communities who don't vote because of the historic failures of some situations. We're turning the page. We're doing more working together, especially across the city, with our new mayor administration that's coming in with the One Philly model, which I love. Um, you know, I even been spending more time and being intentional about strengthening and building relationships with different elected officials across the city and across the state, so I can do more for my community and our city.
Absolutely, Representative Brown. I've heard a lot about the One Philly. I know that's something Mayor Sheree Parker has been saying a lot, and now I'm hearing a lot more people like yourself who are also saying it. So I do want to backtrack just a little bit, because you briefly talked about your constituents that didn't, the people who didn't vote for you, and how
Uh-huh.
like it's important that the work that you do is it's for the entire community. When we talk about you get an $11 million grant to dish out to all these different organizations, and how it's going to impact the community and the families of Philadelphia in so many different ways. When we talk, even down to the giving out, swimwear down to the pools,
Uh-huh.
these things are going to people who didn't vote for you or people who voted against you are going to benefit from these initiatives and these how you're showing up in the community. Brother Brown, what's your message to the people in the community, the Philadelphia community who didn't vote for you?
My message is, I don't take things personal, and if you didn't vote for me, I'm praying that I'm doing the work to earn your vote the next time. And whether you voted for me or not, I still work for you, and I'm still here to serve you. And I would love for those folks to reach out to me. I'm sure we'll post all of our information. Our office is located 4027 Market Street. If you would like to set up a meeting or have a conversation, or if you would like to see me do more um, on top of what I'm doing, I'm completely open for that. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to serve. And I don't want not one community to feel like they're being overlooked. And that's why we're being very intentional about everything that we've been doing for the last 6 months, just to let folks know, like, we're here to stay. And no matter what the situation is, whether you voted for us or not, we're going to serve you. And our doors are always open.
I love that message. I want to ask you before we go, can you just share with us your favorite memory, your favorite moment being in office as a representative, and also your not so favorite moment? What are two moments that stand out as like this was a triumphant moment and a moment was like, bruh?
Um, I would say one of my favorite moments was I was at a community meeting that I hosted on 52nd and Locust, and this was about probably 3 years ago. And this is around when we started all the food banks and bringing all the resources to West Philadelphia to combat food insecurities and food deserts. Especially, we were at the height of COVID. Prices are out of control. They couldn't get product in the stores, so we had to figure out ways to make sure people's refrigerators were filled and tables had dinner on them. So, I think this meeting was about public safety, and this lady, like I want to say everyone in the meeting asked a question or has some kind of involvement, and at the very end, this lady says, "Well, I know the meeting's over, but I just came here to say thank you. But because due to the work that I've been doing in her community, she no longer has to decide between her medication or putting food in her refrigerator, right?" And that was something that I never thought about. I'm like, all right, no, we got to get this food here. We got to figure out ways to cut deals and bring food and bring food, bring food. But for her to come to the office, right? I mean, come to this meeting and say that, it was like, dang, it felt good, right? Because she went further to even say like, yeah, every other month I don't take my medicine because I got to make sure I got food in the fridge. My
Wow.
grandkids come over, right? So that's one. And another one, I want to say a not so um, exciting moment or memory in my life was when, I took a tough position on mandatory minimums and for repeat violent offenders of gun crimes. And that came from one, me being a victim of gun violence. I was shot at the age of 14. Two, the emails and the messages and the folks reaching out to me in my office saying, like, what are you going to do about this gun violence? I lost a son. I lost a daughter. I lost a mother. I lost a father. And just riding around my community, and it's teddy bear memorial, candlelight, this every other day, balloons up in the sky, right? And it's like when are we going to send the message that we ain't playing with these violent offenders anymore, right? Because my children are 9 and 10. It hurts me that when I park my car, say 9, 10 at night when we get home, and my daughter's asleep, I can't carry her. I can't do one of my father duties and carry her in my arms because I have to walk with my head on a swivel in case someone tries me and her, right? So it's like when folks come to me and say that they're fear for their life in their communities, I'm right there with you because I still live in the hood. I still live 3 blocks from where I was raised, and I don't plan on going nowhere, right? And that's because in order to really change what's going on, you have to be in it. I don't need somebody to give me some data and tell me what's going on. I'm there, right? I know what the Poppy store is charging for a roll of tissue now. I know when they don't have fresh produce or won't have access to fresh foods because I'm there on a daily basis. So I would say when I introduced the mandatory minimum, you know, it was it showed me, it exposed a lot of people, and it showed me what I need to do and who I need to surround myself with, right? But I stood my ground, and I stood my ground because the norm was for the amount of pressure that I received. The norm was for me to take it back or say, oh, I didn't mean to do that. No, I meant to do it, right? Like what they say now, stand on it. I made that decision and I stood on it.
You were
You
standing
know,
on
Stand on
business.
business.
I was standing on big. I was standing on business, right? So it's okay. Whatever's to come, let it come. But guess what? What about this mother who lost her 2 children? What about this father who daughter got shot when she was in someone's car? She was an innocent bystander. So it's like we got to think about these victims too. So but the people who had the most access to the microphone were the loudest in the room, and they were able to apply so much pressure, but I never folded, right? And so I would say that that's the moment right there.
Thank you, Representative Brown, for I wish we had more time to really go deeper with that. I think that's like because my follow-up question would have been like, where are you now? You sort of already gave us you know a somewhat answer to that is that you stood on business.
Oh
But
yeah.
when we have time, we'll have to have you back on the show to talk about, you know, how you have seen gun violence in the city, having, been a victim of it yourself to now where your perspective and where you stand in your work and being an advocate in the community. We would love to have you on again. It's been such a pleasure to have you on the show. It's so much to unpack, and we did a lot tonight. So, thank you so much for unpacking with the unpackers who are listening, because your passion, your dedication to the city is truly inspiring. We feel it. Kai and I feel it. This interview, we have been texting each other like just how much we appreciate you and your voice. Before you go, how can the listeners stay informed about your work, get involved in supporting what you do?
Hey, man, to stay informed about what we got going on, you can easily reach out to us on social media platforms, and that's at Amen Brown, REPAMEN BROWN, on all social media platforms. You can stop past my office. I'm there every day, 4027 Market Street when I'm not in Harrisburg. Or you can call our office at 215-879-6615.
Philly, you heard him. Stay connected and get involved in this transformative work happening right in our own city. I want to personally say that I'm very proud of you, Representative Brown. This is the second person from the school. One was a teacher, and now one was a student that I've interviewed from my elementary. And so, just proud moments, because who would have thought we went from the playground to having these serious conversations? So, it's always
From the
proud
playground to the microphone. Look at
listen.
God.
Right. Look at God.
Look
And
at
some of us
God.
in Harrisburg and in Philly. So,
And both of y'all are serving the community in different ways. I mean, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Unpackers, this is what we call community, being leaders in your community.
Absolutely. Thank you again for being here. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, Unpacking will welcome award-winning writer and media personality Victor Yates. Y'all stay tuned to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, Philadelphia's progressive Black Talk Radio.
Did all right?
You did amazing.
Oh man, thanks.
I wish we had time. Do we have time to get a bump, Kai? He's Philly, so I would love to get a bump from him.
Yeah. Get one. I'm gonna put it in.
Okay. You'll type it up.
Can you see the chat? It's just, so a bump is just when you say this is such and such. You're listening to da da da.
Oh, okay. No, I can't see no chat.
You can't see the chat. If he can't see the chat, how you gonna do it?
Okay.
No, I can't see the chat.
You can't see
let me
it?
try. Let me write it and see if it comes up. Hold on.
How do you find the chat?
When he sends it, maybe it'll come up for you. But we do radio bumps every 10 minutes, and we have a lot of artists, a lot of past guests who come on. So you'll do something like, hey, is Representative Amen Brown of the 10th District. You're listening to Unpacking with Eric and Kai on WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM.
Damn, I gotta say all that shit.
That's why I'm writing.
Is that a lot? I guess we're so used to saying it.
Yeah, y'all so used to saying that shit.
Well, he's gonna put it in the chat, and we're gonna see if it pops up for you. If it doesn't, we can reach out to you and get one like through email. That's
I can just send it to me and I'll just record it. I can just do a voiceover. Okay. Yeah, just do it that way.
Okay.
All right, I'll send it.
I can send you the voice joint.
Perfect. Thank you, brother.
Have a good night, and thank you again.
Thank you,
right,
bro.
Man. Thank y'all, man. This is
good
great.
Night.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. Eric, stay on.